Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the first Robotics Canada Ask the Expert webinar. These have been weekly webinars targeted to the FRC community, and it's held Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Look for the links at the FRC Canada Team Blast or on the FRC Canada socials. Everyone has entered on mute, so I'd ask you to just stay muted to improve the audio quality for everybody. But if you have questions at any time, just type them in the question box and we will answer them during the webinar. I am Sarah Sills. I'm your first senior mentor of the Greater Toronto Area. And tonight I'm your moderator, and I'm hoping to help you get the most out of the event. Tonight we have a Youth Council update facilitated by Kim Cooper, as well as a State of the Union address from our President, Mark Breadner. But first, let's catch up on the news. So don't forget to do safety badge. We have great pickup on this from our teams, but safety is so critical. So just go online, take your test, and you can get a bronze badge, which you can pick up at competition. There also is a silver badge, so you can read the requirements for that. So there's the link, and this will be up on YouTube after, so you could get the information there, or it's on the First Canada website. Last week at our webinar, we talked about FRC Inspection, so I just want to, kind of remind you to be ready for that. If you're new to the program, you might want to watch that and just kind of be aware you have to have a cost accounting worksheet of how much money you've put into your robot to keep the playing field level so that we don't have rich teams and poor teams. We try and balance that. Make sure your software is up to date. Follow those bumper requirements so that you keep your robot safe. There will be an electrical and mechanical inspection, again, primarily for safety, so sharp edges for mechanical, and we don't want any shocks from electrical. If you have pneumatics on your machine, they're going to test that for safety as well to make sure that you release properly. There's size and weight restrictions, so those are, to keep it fair, everybody playing by the same rules. And just remember, the inspectors are all volunteers, and everybody wants your robot on the field, so they're doing their best to get you there, and you're going to need to try and figure out a way to get your robot to comply. So keep your gracious professionalism at hand. Everybody wants you on the field for sure, and we'll do whatever we can to get you there. Durham College just happened. We just had our first competition, super exciting. So a shout out to the winners, the Alliance that won, which was led by a rookie team out of Kitchener, 8089. And they were joined by 2200 and 188. So 2200 is out of Burlington, and 188 Blizzard is out of Toronto. You'll hear a little bit more about them later. The finalists were 2609, excuse me, Beaverworks from Guelph, and they were joined with 4976 Robotics from Georgetown and 7603 Vespa Robotics from Markham. And big shout out for our Chairman's Award winner. I kind of put it in makeshift colors, that big congratulations to Makeshift. And our Engineering Inspiration winner is Alpha Dogs out of Bolton. Makeshift is out of Hamilton. And I wanted to shout out to 8081 Lightning Robotics from Leamington. I thought it was just kind of cool that the winners were from all over Ontario. So that was pretty neat to see that spread of knowledge and, excellence. So great first event, and that was really exciting. Mr. Hobbins is giving away event carpet, which can be handy if you want to try and set up a practice field. They'll even cut it up for you if you just want a piece of it, so you can think about what size would fit the space you have. Just be aware it's super heavy, so you're going to need people with you to get it out to whatever vehicle you're taking it away in, and you'll need people at the other end to help you offload it. But it's as close as you can come to practicing on what the field will be like. So just let John Hobbins know. His email's there if you would like carpet, and it's free. That's so cool. Provincial Champs. Okay, I'm just going to remind you about the dates. You'll want it on your calendar. But just be aware that teams advance from each event to the Provincial Champs. So it could be you. So be aware, like you might need to plan this extra trip. And the First Canada website or the First Inspires website has a lot more details on it if you'd like. There will be 80 teams going there. It's in Mississauga. There will be all our programs on display, which is cool. If you're interested in other ones or have questions about them or just want to see what's going on, you can look at that. And don't forget there's a hashtag. So that's coming up in April. Okay, that's enough for me. So now we want to get our youth council talking, and I'm really happy, although it's facilitated by Kim Cooper and Annika Pint, who are First Canada employees. It has been running for about 2 or 3 years, the Youth Council, and this year we have 16 members from a variety of FRC teams. Tonight, we have 2 of them here to let us know what's happening with the group. So Namira Qadir comes to us from Team 7480, Machine Mavericks, who are out of Kingston. They were at Durham College this weekend, and they won the Creativity Award, sponsored by Xerox, for their robot, as well as their Safety Award, sponsored by the Underwriters Laboratory. And overall, they were ranked 11th. So what a great showing they had at their first competition. Well done. And we also have, pardon?
Thank you.
I know. It sounds good when you put it all together like that, doesn't it? And also we have Mahak Dhaliwal from Team 4939. And they're not competing this year, but they have 4 blue banners to their name since they began in 2014, including winning the Engineering Inspiration Award last year at Provincial Champs. They are a very well-known team based out of Brampton. So we have good coverage across Ontario today. I like that. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to run your slides for you. So just tell me next slide if you need me to.
And Sarah, it's Kim Cooper here. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Mahak and Namira joining us today. And actually the Youth Council, there are a number of staff involved with these initiatives, including Mark and Artie and Darrell and of course Annika and Joanna. So it's really been a group effort, and it's been wonderful experience. So I'm so excited that both of them could join us today, and I'll hand it over to Namira and Matt.
Thank you so much. I think that we just like to thank you all, First Robotics Canada, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to share about what we've been doing on the Youth Council. It's been very exciting for all of our 16 members to have so much support from First Administration, and it's really thanks to our amazing advisors that we've been able to go forth with these initiatives. So thank you.
So just to add on, the Youth Council was just formed for the past 7 months and was formerly known as before as the Girls in STEM Executive Council. However, we transitioned to the Youth Council to bring more diversity and inclusion into FIRST. So now we have both males, females, and non-binary individuals on our council, and the opportunity for them to be involved. The Youth Council is a platform for youth to help create visible change in FIRST, and for their ideas to be shared and moving forward and progressing, whether it be both in the FIRST community and at competitions, things that we want to see, and especially other individuals on different teams, and we want to hear more from you. So throughout our presentation today, we're just going to be talking about different initiatives that we've been focusing on, as well as different ways that we can have you all involved. So to start off with, we're going to be talking about the first Youth Summit. So the Youth Council hosted a Youth Summit back in November, where we had over 60 FRC students come together to voice their opinions and how to create positive change in the FIRST community. We had a various number of activities such as icebreakers, a panel discussion, we had networking opportunities. We covered a bunch of different topics through technology, where we did a Can Code activity. We covered allyship and diversity and how we can all work together to create more positive change in our FIRST community. We also talked about what the youth would like to see in the future and had their ideas heard, and working on different initiatives of how we can get the youth more involved and how we can overall create FIRST a more sustainable and cover equity, diversity, and inclusion in our teams. At the end of the day, we had a panel discussion where we had the youth council members as well as the students at the Youth Summit involved on how we can create change in our FIRST community and on the outside. So we brainstormed a bunch of different activities, and we were also able to network with a lot of different individuals, whether it be just individuals in the working force or in the workplace. We were also able to connect with people in different teams, and we're hoping to move forward with the Youth Summit this year and next year, and hopefully a lot more Youth Summits to come.
Exactly. Next slide, please. So Project Green. Project Green was actually something that a number of people had approached us about at the Youth Summit. And so what we wanted to make of this is to sort of create a culture of being environmentally aware, active, and friendly with FIRST teams in the FIRST community. So this started back in October with a big environmental cleanup, and that was very exciting for our youth council because although all of our teams participated, we actually had a lot of participation from dozens of teams from across Canada. So that was super exciting. And so for the months leading up to February, we were brainstorming, well, how could we advise teams on how to be more green in their own communities? And so what we did is on the bottom left of the slideshow there, you can see one of our tips that we released. And so we had a number of tips and posts going up on Instagram throughout the month of February that had different tips such as making waste audits for your teams, signing documents online to reduce printing, or something like bringing your own cutlery to dinners. So that was very exciting, and we had a lot of outreach on that front. But in addition to that, something that was really cool for us to see is that one of our team members actually designed these Go Green with FIRST Canada stickers, and they're actually made of sustainable, eco-friendly material, and these were handed out at Durham. And what we wanted to do with this is to really inspire teams to use reusable water bottles, and so hopefully we're going to be handing those out at future competitions as well. So that was very exciting for us.
To add on, I just want to talk more about another initiative that we've been working on, and this is mental health. So since the Youth Council was formed, we talked a lot about different ways that we can improve the mental health of our FIRST community. And back in October, the Youth Council had the opportunity to attend Synex's Share the Magic Gala, where we were actually given the opportunity through Synex to connect with Kids Help Phone. So every Monday since January, we've been posting Mental Health Monday posts on our social media, so on Instagram. And there's various resources available, such as inspirational quotes, instant stress busters, and self-care checklists that are available to anyone in our FIRST community. Especially as robotics season and competition season approaches, it's very important for us all to keep our mental health in check and be more aware of what's going on, and both keep our physical health as well as know the importance of our mental health. And a new initiative that we actually implemented just at our last competition at Durham was we've been working on quiet rooms for a while now. So finding a place where all students who attend competitions to go just take their time and relax, de-stress from what's going on. As you know, competitions can get stressful. So now we've implemented quiet rooms, and they're not just available at Durham, but also at various other competitions throughout the season. So we have things like stress balls, relaxing music, and coloring sheets that students can access. And we also have a number of resources from Kids Help Phone and from our Youth Council that are available on our social media that anyone can check out. For example, as you can see on your screen, there's a post right now that says ways that you can contact Kids Help Phone and ways that you can receive help. And we just want to reiterate the fact that FIRST is a community, and it's very important that we all look out for one another. And it's so important to talk about our mental health. And get rid of the stigma that's behind mental health. So as a community and as the Youth Council, we just want to promote having healthy mental health. And to add on, one more tip is that the campaign so far has reached over 10,000 individuals on our Instagram and has received over 1,300 likes on Instagram as well. So if anyone needs any resources, feel free to check these out.
For sure. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Mahak brings up some really great points about mental health, but what we also realize is that physical health is just as important to all students on and out of FRC teams. So this is our healthy eating initiative, and this is something that a number of us are very passionate about, because personally, I'm very fortunate with my team to have a number of mentors who bring in healthy dinners for us, but I know that that isn't always feasible for other teams. And I know that I'm also not the only one who's heard about all the pizza that's on these teams. So we decided that we would think about healthy options that would have long-term benefits on both the mind and body, and try to advertise these out to students in FIRST. So in the past few months, we have been brainstorming a number of healthy eating tips. So for example, pooling money to buy snacks, asking mentors to make dinners, having more salad in our diet. And on the left here, you can see that we've been working on some maps of venues, so competition venues, to inform of the healthy options that are available at the actual competitions. And so we thought our goal with this initiative is to really make sure that everyone on FIRST teams can be healthy, happy, and continue to engage in all of their very hard work. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our next initiative is actually our most recent project as our youth council, and this is the Diversity First initiative. And this came from a couple of members coming together and realizing that we really wanted to showcase the immense contributions of visible minorities to STEM. And well, we came up with this idea during February, with it being Black History Month, and we decided that we would make some posts that would inform people about African Canadian leaders in STEM. But then we also realized that we wanted to make this into a long-term initiative that would, in the long term, promote equity, diversity, and inclusion both in and out of FIRST teams. And so here you can see one of the graphics that we've made here with some information about William Peyton Hubbard. And moving forward, we really want to highlight the efforts of trailblazers in STEM, representing a wide variety of visible minorities, to really recognize their efforts.
Next slide, please. Thank you. So a big part of our Youth Council and FIRST community is promoting inclusion at all levels throughout FIRST. So an initiative that our Youth Council has been working towards is LGBTQS+, and bringing more inclusion and understanding in our community. So a lot of our members on our Youth Council had questions on how we as individuals can help uplift LGBTQS+ students in FIRST. So we were very lucky to have an extremely supportive council that wanted to help create the same environment on other FIRST teams and the community through allyship. So an initiative that we recently started was pins, such as you can see on your screen, are now available at competitions to not only show that if you are a member of the LGBTQS+ community, but also to show if you're an ally. And I think Namira is going to touch more on this in our next slide. But allyship is extremely important in our FIRST community, and we've been working on various initiatives, including diversity in FIRST. So allyship is extremely important, and we've done various activities that Namira is now going to mention. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So although we may not know it, allyship, I believe, is really at the foundation of our FIRST core values. And so I actually learned this term on the Youth Council, and we all learned this term and talked about it at the Youth Summit. And really what an ally is about is being a friend or supporter to someone who may be in a difficult situation, even if you don't quite understand where they're coming from. So at the Youth Summit, we held a very interesting activity with a number of scenarios where someone could use a friend. And so these would address a number of issues or difficult situations that would affect members of, say, the LGBTQ2S+ communities, say visible minorities, maybe girls being treated unfairly on teams. And we thought that teams would really benefit from having these documents with them. So we actually revised and created more scenarios that would be more inclusive of all FIRST students. And we created an allyship guide, which will be released and advertised soon, and that will be going out to FRC teams and really just all FIRST teams, so that everyone can learn about how we can be better community members to other members of our FIRST family.
So aside from all the initiatives that we've been mentioned, we continue to work towards representing youth voices in FIRST. And we also have a lot of initiatives planned that are soon coming, such as Rookie Support Food Drive and continuing our diversity initiatives, both on our social medias and through other events.
Right, and speaking of social media, it would be really great if everyone could follow our social media to stay updated. As you know, First Robotics Canada does post on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we would also really appreciate for people to reach out to us. If you have questions or ideas or suggestions, it'd be really wonderful if we could hear all of those and try to implement your ideas as well. Because we're very fortunate to have these opportunities to express our own ideas and opinions on the Youth Council, but we really want to be a voice for all FIRST students. So does anyone have any questions?
Wow, I was so impressed. I love how you've kind of spread information over the season, like so, you know, both off season and during the season and, you know, continuing. So I'm really happy to see that. And then how you're bringing things out. So like that you've got 4 things going on at competition. I love the Project Green with the reusable water bottles, and then the quiet room and the healthy eating, trying to encourage more of that, and the LGBTQ 2+ pins. I just love that. So you guys are doing a fabulous job, and I love how you're you know, engaging a lot of the youth of the community. I don't see any questions in the question box right now, but for our attendees, if you have any, feel free to type them in and we'll address them as we go. So I think we're going to continue on with our next part. We have our State of the Union address with our president here to talk to us tonight. So Mark Breadner is our current president of First Robotics Canada. He's been our only president, really. Everything that has happened in Canada has been under his leadership, which is pretty cool. So he's responsible for spreading all the programs across our country, and he can be proud of the results. Well, you know, we all share and work together, and that's what he would say, because that's the kind of leader he is. But this year in FRC, there are a lot of teams competing. I think he's going to tell us about it. And most importantly, that we've got a lot of student impact going on across Canada. He won the Woody Flowers Award at Worlds in 2008, and to date remains the only Canadian to do so. So that's a challenge. We need to get a few more out there, but we are very proud of him for that. He began his career as a teacher, and then he became the computer science head, which of course made sense with his math background, right? And then he became a vice principal before becoming hyper involved in FIRST. So he started out with Team 188 and kind of went from there. Oh, right, I need to escape from these slides and bring up his slides. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark to talk to you tonight. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Very nice of you to take the time to research that, for sure. And thanks to Mahek and Namira too for your presentation. I don't envy following you guys in a presentation. That's happened once before as well. So thank you very much. I think a lot of the stuff you're talking about is probably more interesting than I'm going to talk about. And I'll also say straight up that some of my slides I didn't create, that Kim and Dave created them, and I just kind of borrowed them. So I need to be upfront with you guys on that. So I'll just go over a few things that I think are pretty interesting that we're doing, working on. You know, as Sarah said, what we do in FIRST Canada is we are totally volunteer driven. So we have over 2,000 volunteers across the country that allow us to do what we do and allow us to grow. So we're very, very dependent on those volunteers, whether they be mentors or volunteers at events or corporate volunteers that help us raise money, all really important. So just a few things. Most of you know we did our first tech challenge in Ontario this year. We didn't do first tech challenge in Ontario up until this year, but this year jumped in with 2 feet and it went extremely well. I'll talk a little bit more about that. It's hard to believe we have over 1,500 elementary first teams across the country, which is a lot, and over 250 secondary FRC teams. So we're really pleased with that we have interest from the provincial government, have had for a long time, and Kim's done great work with our federal government to get them involved as well with CanCode, and it's been doing extremely well. Some of you may have been involved in some of those initiatives, but basically they go from coast to coast to coast with initiatives that Kim has formed partnerships with so many different organizations to basically get our youth coding across Canada. We just heard all about the Youth Council, but I have to give it another props here again for the great work that they're doing, for the initiatives. And, you know, we really try to listen to what the people on the council say and give them lots of leeway to do all the cool things that they're doing. You know, about our events that are coming up, we're right in the middle of it. Well, no, we're not in the middle, we're in the beginning of it with 11 district events and Provincial Champs. We're excited about the new event in Carleton in 2 weeks in Ottawa, Carleton University. That's going to be exciting. We needed a bit more spread across the eastern part of the province. So Ottawa seemed like a very logical place to go. And for those of you who haven't been able to attend, we have 2 regional events, one in BC, one in Alberta, that are doing well. And now we have 2 regional events in Quebec. We had one for a long time. Many of you may have watched it with the Amazing Light Show and teams there. And now they've expanded to have 2. They have another one in Sherbrooke. So they're doing well there as well. So next slide, please. So this is just to show that we're proud to raise the first flag for all 4 banners now, where we haven't had First Tech Challenge in Ontario in the past, but we do now, and we really expect that to grow. Next slide. So this year with First Tech, we had 34 teams. I think we limited to 34. I think the registration sold out in a couple of hours. We had an incredible provincial championships at Durham College, and we will have 1 team that will be advancing to the International World Championships in Detroit. Next year, we're probably going to be having more like 80 or 90 teams, I do believe. And we had a really interesting process where we'd like the qualifying events to be run by FRC teams. They have the skills and knowledge to do it. They probably have the school to do it in or a location. They have lots of volunteers being team members that can help run the event, and possibly they can make a bit of money doing it as well with the registration fees. So we had a bidding process where any team could put their name in the hat to host an event. And I believe 4 of those were approved. So we're likely going to have around 4 qualifying tournaments that will feed up into the FTC Provincial Championships next year. So that should be a lot of fun and allow us to grow FTC rapidly in Ontario. So we're excited about that.
And Mark, I just wanted to mention, I wasn't aware that FTC was already running out west. So that's kind of cool too, that we have that program across Canada too.
Right, it's been running out west for quite some time, actually, in Alberta and in BC, and we were just waiting for the timing to be right in Ontario for us to be able to support it and expand it in the fashion that we wanted to. So that was this year for us, and so we're looking forward to really good growth.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So First League Junior, so far 703 teams this year. I really see this as, you know, one of our programs that should be expanding the quickest. It's a very low cost entry into First. It gets students into the pipeline early. As you can see, we're going to have 10 expos this year. And we have a new discovery program, which basically encourages teachers to do FLL Junior in the classroom, and you can buy class packs and reuse them. And so we've got 17 of those now. We're looking hopefully to get upwards of 40 of those class packs done this year. First League Junior is also, if you look at our diversity, more likely to be a very diverse mix of students, because no one's told them yet that you shouldn't do STEM, or you're not, you're not maybe as qualified as someone else to do STEM. There's no stereotype. So the sooner we get them involved, the better. And I'll be talking about a little bit later, but we're really hoping our FRC teams and the people listening to this webcast will, really consider starting a fellow junior team at their feeder schools for their schools. It's a great program because it runs year long. So you can run your program when you're not busy with your FRC team. If you choose to, you can do it in the fall, you can do it in the spring after FRC is done, but there's lots of flexibility there. So, and it's just straight up fun to do First Lego League Junior with these young kids. So next slide. First Lego League, 562 teams in Ontario. Dave Ellis does an amazing job, and Annika as well, running this program. We have 27 qualifying events, so separate events that run across the province, 2 provincial championships. The Ontario Innovation Challenge, or celebration, is a really cool thing where they take the best teams from their projects and have them present to really industry professionals to get them to prep for the big X Prize competition, which happens in the US, which we've incidentally had an Ontario team that's won that in the past. And I believe the prize for that is $10,000 or $20,000 US. So it's a big deal. So the projects or the inventions or the innovations that these teams come up with are really, truly amazing and very impactful. And in some cases, like North Bay, where they present it to the mayor and the city council, some of their programs have actually been implemented in the city of North Bay in terms of recycling or whatever the projects may be. So it's fascinating. 8 of our teams will be advancing to Detroit to the World Championships, and having a great deal of fun there. Okay, next.
Thanks. That's really cool to hear about that innovation celebration. So thanks.
So I'll just put a plug in here. This is on our website. We have a strategic plan, but if you look at that, this current plan runs out in 2020. Well, we're in 2020. So we are redoing or tweaking or adjusting our strategic plan. And we need your help. I think we've put this out on our social media. We'd like to get lots more responses from everyone, every stakeholder that's been involved with First Canada, to get your opinions on new things we should be doing, things we should be doing differently, things we're doing well, new target areas, segments of the population we should be going after that we aren't getting good representation in now, all kinds of things. There's a number of questions there when you click on that link, and we're looking for input from everyone: students, mentors, sponsors, teachers. The more input we have from our stakeholders, the more in-depth and comprehensive our strategic plan can be. So for anyone who is listening live now or will listen to the recording later on, please click on that link and go in and spend 15-20 minutes and answer the questions. Give us your input, because I can tell you it's all going to be considered and will all factor into our new strategic plan, which will take effect from 2020 to probably 2025. So please do that. Please take the time to do it. We really do want to get your input. The questions are thought-provoking and will allow you to put down comments in those areas, and I can assure you that they will be read and they will be considered going forward. So please do that, and share this link with other people, other friends you have that that are related to First, that are involved in First, that would want to respond and give us some input as well. Okay, next slide. So didn't get a title on this in time, but we have a First Canada app now for the Android and for Apple. And for those of you who haven't downloaded it, it's free, and it was created by a First alumni. These are just a few screenshots of what's in there. Kim arranged us to do this with some funding from CanCode, and it's got really good information in there about all of our events and the agendas you can see, the sponsors, the team lists, the district points that have been generated, load-in schedules. It's all in this app, and I certainly have it on my phone and use it all the time. But again, please go get it, download it, use it. I really think it's a great first start at what this app could be, and we may be able to update that going forward and even put more functionality into it. So it's a really smooth looking app in my opinion, and it was developed in probably a month and a half. That's how quickly the First alumni that took this on could do it. So super impressive. So please share it around, download it, use it, and then if you like, give us feedback on things you'd like to see in there, and there might be a way that we could actually do that going forward. So just my last plug in terms of what we're trying to do to increase the First community. We do have a goal of getting a First program of some sort in every school in Canada. That would be the ultimate goal. That is a huge goal with the thousands and thousands of schools that are across Canada. But nevertheless, it is one of our stretch goals. I really think, and we really think that our community, being our high school teams and corporations and various sponsors, can help us do that. And the way to do that is to take it upon yourself to go out and start an FLL junior team, FLL or FTC team in your area. There are lots of grants available. So, when you go think about, I'd like to help start a team in this school, an FLL junior team. We hope that money is not the issue that is impeding anybody. Through the grants that we have and through, sometimes fundings that school have, it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the barrier that stops anyone from starting a team in the first place. So, we really want to spread. We really want to create these pipelines where we've got, the high school that's doing FRC or FTC, but all of their feeder schools that come into that high school get a feeling for what First is like through a program, FLL Junior or FLL, as they're coming up. So when they get to high school, they are well aware of what First is, what our core values are, and what we do, and they immediately want to jump on to the FRC or FTC team in their high school. So, everyone that's listening today, if you don't mentor FLL Junior, FLL or FTC teams, certainly go back and discuss it with your school. I know right now is not the time because you're really into the build and really into getting ready for your FRC events. But when things settle down a little bit after World Championships, and hopefully your team continues to meet, throughout the year, bring it up and see if there's interest in your school in doing that, in mentoring. And ideally, it's in the feeder schools that are almost within walking distance of your high school, so there's no travel issues. You can, walk or get there very easily to mentor these teams. And if every FRC team or FTC team mentored a school that was within walking distance of their school, we would expand our numbers greatly. So that's kind of my homework for everyone that's listening. To grow the program, that's a great way to do it. And but in the same breath, I want to say how much I appreciate all the teams that are out there and all they're doing in their communities. It's just amazing to hear of all the great stories, and we want to keep them coming. So that's it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has or anything like that.
That was excellent, Mark. A State of the Union's interesting to hear. It's sometimes, we're so busy with the day to day, we kind of forget to look at the big picture and how much is going on. And it was really interesting to hear. I'm going to monitor the questions, but first, if I still have Namira and Mahak on the line, I had a couple questions come through about for the Youth Council. So my first question is, what was the application process like for the Youth Council, and how can others get involved?
Mahak, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for asking us a question. But the application process began in June, and there were a few questions, just basic ideas on why we wanted to get involved into the Youth Council. We also had some questions on how, what initiatives we want to bring forth, a few ideas we have. And then after that, there was actually like an interview process where we were just asked a few questions on what we want to see. The whole idea was different ideas that we could bring into First. And then after that, we were chosen. So I was actually involved in the Girls in STEM Executive Advisory Council before too, or the Girls in STEM like Youth Council before as well. So I think my application process was the same. Namira, was yours any different?
No, I had about the same application process. And just to add something to that, I think that the part that stood out to me the most about the application was really trying to get you to talk about what you were passionate about. And now looking at the other members of the Youth Council, I know that we're all super duper passionate and very much involved in a few initiatives. And I think that's something that really must have stood out on our applications, because that's one of the main questions. What's something that you would like to change, or how would you like to impact the First community with an initiative on the Youth Council? So I think I had about the same answer to that question as you did.
Oh, that's cool. And I also like the way that group of people has come together and supported each other's initiatives to make them come true.
Oh, for sure. And we're such a diverse group of students as well. I'm not even sure if I ever would have encountered all the students on our council if it weren't for this wonderful opportunity. So we're really fortunate to have such a really great wide variety of students with very different perspectives and backgrounds.
Great. Another question I had was, how are you managing Youth Council initiatives with your school responsibilities and team initiatives?
I think this is a great question for both Mahak and I, because both of us are very involved in our communities with a number of extracurriculars. And I think what's key to our Youth Council is that we have a number of people who are essentially assigned to these initiatives. So we have calls that are every 2 weeks. They are online on Zoom, so they're video calls, and we have groups. So for example, for the allyship initiative, I worked on that with one of our other members. Mahak, for example, I'm sure can talk about some initiatives that he's worked on, but it's really, I think it's a matter of not making sure that you're over committing yourself to too many things, but also just doing what you're really passionate about. And I think other than that, it's not really hard to accommodate. And everyone's very understanding because we're all quite busy people.
Definitely. I just wanted to add on that, especially during times, especially during build season, I know a lot of our Youth Council members are very busy, but I think everyone on the council takes the time and opportunity to let everyone know what they missed if they weren't able to make it on a call. And everyone's very supportive and accommodating, as Namira just said. So managing both your school team and the Youth Council isn't as difficult as it may seem. So if anyone is interested in getting involved, we would love for more people to apply to be on the Youth Council and express your opinions and views on things that you want to see happen in First. I believe that the Youth Council initiatives for the 2020-2021 season are coming out in June. I'm not exactly sure. Namira, are you, or Kim, I'm not sure if you're on the call, but
yeah, so we'll be launching the application process again next, like in the summertime, like we did last year in June, and that will be on SurveyMonkey, where people will apply, and then there'll be a series of phone or video interviews from there that'll happen over the summer. So we will release that information probably mid-June anyway, and we'll be sure to put it on social media and communicate it to the teams.
Okay, and I don't have other questions at the moment. So what am I going to do? That was our question time. But, you know, if you have any questions, you can always contact First Canada and we'll tell you things. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of passing, you know, thoughts. I know you might still want to get involved. So if you're an alumni and you want to get involved, we're trying to leverage our alumni to help new mentors. So if you feel that you would like to give back in that way, there's a variety of areas, technical and non-technical, that mentors sometimes reach out for support. So if you would like to get involved with that, then contact John Hobbins at his email address and let him know. And there's an application process for that. So that would be a cool way to get involved. And if you're not an alumni yet, or maybe you are, just volunteer at an event. So there's lots of different things going on, different program levels, different competitions, a lot of different roles. So bring your skills and excitement and, you know, come and play. You could wear bunny ears if you wanted to, you know, that's there. So summary, I just want to say thank you to the Youth Council for everything you are doing. It is just awesome to hear what's going on. I liked hearing more from Namira and Mahak and Kim. So thanks for coming out tonight to share your information about the council. I'm always impressed to see the difference a few dedicated people can affect. So keep up the good work. I would just say, like, you mentioned, you know, how you can break into groups, and so you don't have to do all the work yourself. You each kind of can focus or with a kind of smaller group to affect these changes, but I can just see a big difference. So that's great. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I think that one point that I'd really like to stress here is that it's not only our youth council members, but also our incredible advisors who are so supportive of everything that they do, that we have been doing, and they're really key to facilitating all the initiatives that we've thought about. So thank you so much to them.
Thank you very much. And also thank you to Mark Breadner. So you can tell just by listening to him how passionate he is about the impact FIRST can have on everyone involved. So thank you for everything you've done over the years and for sharing the latest insights with us tonight. I would say, you know, you mentioned the Youth Council and the advisors' support. I would say that's what we feel within the FIRST community, and especially within the FIRST Canadian community. There's just a lot of support and excitement and a community feel for what's happening, and a lot of that goes back to Mark. So thanks for that, Mark.
Thanks, Sarah. My pleasure.
Yeah, and Ask the Expert webinar is going to take a break for competition season. People are busy, and we get that. So good luck on the field. We are going to be back on April 14th for a celebration of the season. And John Hobbins will join us then to give us some tips on heading into Detroit Champs for those teams that are advancing on to Champs. Whether you just want to come and hear the celebration, or if you need some tips about Champs, come join us on April 14th. Always, if you can't be here live, you know, let people know that it's up on the FIRST Robotics Canada YouTube channel. It's in our very own playlist, so you can find us under that and catch up on all the latest news. My email is ssills@firstinspires.org. If you have ideas or suggestions, I'm always happy to hear. But generally, thanks for listening tonight, and good night. See you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mahak and Namira.